Hi, this is Stan Sakai. I'm the creator of Usagi Yojimbo, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
Hello, folks. We are back from Charm City. This is 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 1005. I am one of your hosts. My name is David A. Price, and with me is...
As always, Vlad Tepes.
No, you are not. Those books are so beautiful. I can't wait for them all to come out. I'm going to order the eventual slipcase edition, because I don't have one of them yet.
Look at you.
Man, you are not Vlad. You are not in any iteration. You are.
I do like to impale, though.
You do. That's true. And we have the weekend to prove it. You are not. You are none other than Jason Wood. Welcome. Long time no see. Feels like it's been.
I know.
Days, hours.
It's been a minute, dude.
We are going to start off with our Baltimore Comic-Con recap once we get the other business fun stuff out of the way. Like this episode, as always, is sponsored by our good friends at cheapgraphicnovels.com, where you can get massive discounts, especially on their current Fall Fun sale. But every week, their new releases are available for you to check out. Discounts on collections, hardcovers, trade paperbacks, the manga, the works, the slackers. You get a curated list of a few of the highlights that we find, and a couple of items that I would like to point out to you include DC Finest Events, Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 trade paperback for $23.99. From Swamp Thing's battle to fix his gravest mistake to Batman and Catwoman's deadly struggles under red skies, these stories delve into the heart of DC's characters as they fight for survival. With heroes like Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern, and the Justice Society of America uniting to combat a cosmic threat, this collection captures the monumental stakes and emotional depth that define Crisis on Infinite Earths. DC Finest continues a major publishing initiative presenting comprehensive collections of the most in-demand and celebrated periods in DC Comics history, spanning genres, characters, and eras. This volume collects stories from Swamp Thing number 39, Batman numbers 389 through 391, Detective Comics numbers 555 through 558, Justice League of America number 244, Green Lantern number 194, Wonder Woman number 327, DC Comics Presents number 78, Infinity Inc. numbers 18 and 19, The Fury of Firestorm number 41, All-Star Squadron 50, 51, and 52, Crisis on Infinite Earths numbers 1 through 4, and The Losers Specials number 1. This is on its way to me. I cannot wait. Also, from Fantagraphics, Nocturno's hardcover, $22.49. The night does not belong to us. She harbors her own mysteries. Nocturnos delves into the ethereal world of the night, when the mundane vibes of the day see to a mysterious atmosphere in which anything seems possible. In the twilight hours, the darkness feels vast and untamable. The dead can intrude upon the land of the living, and the distance between imagination and reality seems closer than ever. Haunting narration connects a series of vignettes that capture glimpses of people's lives as they navigate the nighttime. A traumatic collision while driving down a dimly lit road, a bedtime story that blurs the bounds of the imaginary, a walk through the woods that leads to strange symbols. This nighttime tour encompasses lush forest, dreamscapes, and the shadowy corners of private rooms. Along the way, these stories question the truths veiled in dreams, the nature of fear and loneliness, and the unknowable aura of the nocturnal word. In Nocturnos, her most masterful work to date, Spanish comic artist Laura Perez explores the magic and melancholy we encounter when dusk descends. And finally, This is a big one. Shield by Hickman and Weaver Omnibus Hardcover, $44.99.
Nice.
There are 2 flavors. You get a direct market Weaver cover or apparel regular cover. Superstar creators Jonathan Hickman and Dustin Weaver embed historical figures into the secret history of S.H.I.E.L.D. Leonardo da Vinci was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So was Isaac Newton. So were Imhotep and Zhang Heng and Galileo and other geniuses throughout time. They were the first heroes to defeat Galactus and the Brood and turn Celestials back. They saved the world long before Captain America or Iron Man were ever born. But what does this mean to our heroes of today? What does this mean to Nick Fury? Michelangelo has been pulling the strings for years, but can even he keep Da Vinci and Newton from killing each other and destroying the Brotherhood of the Shield? The battle for the Immortal City is on as the truth behind Nostradamus is uncovered, and Howard Stark lays the foundation for the espionage organization you know and love. But the battle that decides our present will be fought in the future. Collecting S.H.I.E.L.D. 1 through 6 and Director's Cut S.H.I.E.L.D. numbers 1 through 4. S.H.I.E.L.D. by Hickman and Weaver numbers 5 and 6. And S.H.I.E.L.D. Infinity. Those are your cheap graphic novel specials for this week. I am enjoying, courtesy of founding Slack member Carlo, a delicious glass of Blanton's single malt, single barrel whiskey. And thank you for that, my friend. I am sorry I did not see you over the weekend, but I am thinking of you tonight as I drink this.
That is like the hype beast of whiskeys these days, right? That's like the hotness blends.
It can be, yeah. There's some people think maybe there's a little bit too much hype. I enjoy it. It's every once in a while, my neighbor and I will split a bottle, and like share custody, and whoever has it will just go over and drink some. But yeah, no, I do enjoy it. I don't have it all that often because it is on the pricier side, which again is why some people just think that it may not.
You're
be.
a man of means. I don't know why that would stop you, but
you keep telling people that people are going to believe it. But yeah, no, it is very good. It is very good, especially in good company, which I have tonight. So we are going to keep the good times going. How are you doing this evening? Do you have anything for the drink roll call?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was going to say we could probably just skip me, right? Because I'm drinking Gape. I'm not drinking Gape. Oh, that'd be interesting. I'm drinking Grape G0. The wife just restocked my G0, so I had multiple flavors to choose from. So I went with the grape.
Nice.
Yeah, got to get those electrolytes in. You know, got to keep the body humming. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, but so I'm not drinking because we did a lot of drinking this weekend. A lot. I mean, for me, I mean, I never drink. So at home just like really at all anymore. So. So when I have an occasion such as this wonderful weekend we spent together, I do imbibe it. Definitely. It's great at the moment, but then the body's like, all right, bro, let's reset, let's get yourself cleaned out, So, but yeah, we got after it. We got after it a week ago today. Actually, we were at Gunther and Company getting after it with me and Mario. Yeah.
That was
hard to believe it was already a week ago. Yeah,
I know.
Sad. Yeah. So Baltimore recap. Unusual for us because you and I went to Baltimore 12 years ago. That was our one and only trip. Vince has never been. So of course, as we've been telegraphing, we decided early this year to do Baltimore again. In part because we thought it was gonna align with our episode 1000. Obviously, that didn't happen. We've already covered all that, but nevertheless, we decided to make a trip of it anyway, and I'm really glad we did. I don't want to speak for you, but I thought it was a fantastic con on all levels. I was gonna say a perfect con, but it wasn't perfect because few things are ever perfect, and obviously, number one, we didn't have our bow with us, which makes it impossible to be perfect. You also hinted at another thing. I think this con, because it was a smaller affair in terms of the people we knew and just the event itself, one of my favorite things about it is I really felt like we got a ton of legitimate, impactful quality time with the people we know and love, which is something that we do at any con, but because, like Heroes, for example, there's so many people there that we love, and it's such a whirlwind extravaganza between the art auction, right, and different people, having meals with different groups of people, and then the hustle and bustle of the con itself. I always feel like for as many great hangs as we have in Charlotte, when we're doing the recap, I have a list of people that I either didn't get to chat with or I did chat with, but I feel like in retrospect I didn't get to spend nearly as much time as I had hoped to going into the weekend. In the case of this trip, man, I felt like we got real legit quality time with everybody. Other than, to your point, we didn't see Carlo, which I don't know how that's possible, frankly. It's kind of crazy that we didn't run into Carlo. But other than that, I thought it was just like, it was an amazing experience, man. Like, hotel was cool. It was definitely like a vibe.
Yeah.
It was an old bank. Our room was like a giant old like bank office with like 20-foot ceilings, and it was right on the main floor, which is weird. But definitely nice enough, clean, big. So we were lucky there, and we got there. Easy drive. You and I had an easy drive, right? Little 4-hour road trip. You and me just catching up on life.
It went by pretty quick.
No major. Yeah, no major issues. Really, no traffic at all. We just made the pit stops, but other than that, there was no delays. We're able to check in right away, which was nice. A little valet parking action, which was nice. Mario was already there. Yep. So, we did a little pre-gaming, a little catching up with him on life, and then went to, I thought, a fantastic first meal at Gunther and Company. We almost enticed you to get, we almost enticed you to try raw oysters, but you didn't quite get there. Almost, but they were delicious. They were really great because but it's a seaside town, so they have great seafood. I thought that meal was terrific. And then we the con didn't start until Friday, which was also kind of nice because most of the cons we do are 4-day cons. And then Friday morning. Oh, the other weird thing too is that the con didn't start until 1 p.m. on Friday, which was pretty crazy. Nice though, right? Because we didn't have to rush. Yeah. So we went and we picked up our badges and stuff, and there was a little Irish pub type place, I think called Pratt Street Ale House or something like that. Is that right?
Yes, or Pratt Ale House. Yeah,
Pratt Ale House. And we walked in there, and it was pretty much empty, right? Like there was like, 2 tables of patrons in the whole place. And we head into the main room to sit down, and who the fuck is sitting in there other than the CGS crew? I mean, talk about like kismet, right? Like that. I mean, like again, the place was empty. It was not like, and we walk in and Pants and Peter and Shane and their friend, who was not a part of CGS but was with them, are all sitting there ordering their lunch. And we end up sitting right next to them and just and chatting up with them for like an hour and a half or so. And it was great because I haven't seen any of those guys in at least a decade, if not longer. It could be even longer than that. So it was very, very nice, and it felt it kind of just set the mood. Like, okay, this is going to be one of those kind of weekends. We're just going to reconnect with people, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, I thought it was, again, like we kind of from the moment we got started on the road trip, I thought things were just like good vibes from start to finish.
100%. It started, the time started pretty much as soon as I pulled into your driveway, as it always does, even when we're doing New York or before we do the drive down to Charlotte or the flight down to Charlotte. But, Thursday was great. So Mario, like you said, we found a little sort of kind of speakeasy-ish joint couple blocks away from the hotel, which we thought maybe we'd grab a bite there, but all we did was grab a couple of glasses of wine.
Menu was sus.
Was sus. So that's why we ended up at Gunther, which behind the scenes, weeks ago, the three of us had started a spreadsheet of eateries to check out while we were in town, and Gunther was on that list, although it wasn't one that we had made reservations for the crew, but we knew it was probably going to be a good time. So we did end up making our way over there on Thursday night, like you said. Dinner was great. No, I did not have Roy oysters. The closest I did come to anything comparable to raw oysters was Saturday night, which we'll get to. But Friday, like you said, got up, grabbed our passes, then went across the street, had a great little early lunch with the CGS crew, caught up, and then and then we got in once the show opened and hit the ground running. It was it was before everybody else started filling in yet, so we kind of had the run of the place. Got to check out the lay of the land, see where everything was. You pretty much had your game plan set up once you knew where everybody was, who you had to see. I was going by the program most of the weekend. You were starting off the hard hustle. Mario and I went through the exhibitors area where everybody's got their little. The trend is crocheting right now. Every year or two, something new comes along, whether it's something that was 3D printed or clings or stickers or something or magnets. This year it's crocheting. Everybody's got a pattern that they follow, whether you're doing a Pokemon or a Jedi Knight or droid or anything related to pop culture, comics, Star Trek, Star Wars, whatever. Yeah. You got your pattern, and then I guess you can just go ahead and either find the person that has the colors you like or has that has a better price. I don't know how much comparison shopping you have with things like that, but they were out in full force. And yeah, we kind of just walked around. It was as I'm walking down the aisle on the far wall, which unfortunately I think some creators weren't too thrilled about as the weekend went on. But I see John K. Snyder setting up his booth, and he sees me and recognizes me from not this year at Heroes, but last year when he did the Epi Thatcher on my Grindel Jam. Saw me, said hi, asked how things are going, whatnot. We caught up briefly, and then just kept walking up and down the aisles. I mean, we can run down the list later of everybody we spoke to as we go through it, but Friday was great. Just real nice feel for the show to find out what the weekend's going to be like, and then I mean, there's so much to enjoy. There's so much that I enjoyed and that I loved about this past weekend, but an absolute highlight. And yes, the convention is why we were there, but an absolute highlight for me, something that I will never forget, was our Chef's Table Friday night at Foraged, which it was my very first ever Chef's Table tasting menu, whatever you want to call it. It's not going to be my last, and it's it was an experience that it, a couple years ago, it's not something that it's an experience that wouldn't have that probably would have went over my head or just not have been so involved in or something to invest in. But
well, you would have either been worried you would have been worried that you wouldn't like some of the food, and you would have been stressing yourself out about paying that much for a meal.
Yes, yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah,
new you. That's what we say. New DAP. The DAP is 2025 is the year of the new DAP. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. I mean, I love the old version too. Don't get me wrong, but sure. It's like you've come out of a chrysalis into this beautiful butterfly. It's just like, geez.
I think beautiful might be the right word, considering the way people were. The way I was. Except it's not the right word, but the way apparently people haven't seen me in a while, and they're used to seeing a lot more of me.
You were getting glazed over your weight loss. They were glazing the hell out of you.
Jesus, good. Whether people are thinking I got as Cliff and Tony said, I have a bird on the side, but there's something. Yeah, it was great seeing people.
I wonder how many people thought you were on the Ozempic. I bet you a lot of people thought you were on the Ozempic.
Which I'm not.
No, I know, but I'm saying because I feel like everybody that loses weight now, people assume they're on the GLP ones. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. But I did. Someone else who looks great was also Mike Norton, who we haven't seen since our last visit to Chicago. So that was lovely. But
he is on the Ozempic.
He is. Yes. Yeah. Probably among other things. But yeah. But but Michael is Mike's a great dude. You'll likely hear him soon, probably over the next couple of months. that was another reason why I so enjoyed this convention, is that that we made strides to not just talk to people we haven't seen at any other cons, or that we haven't been able to chat up in a minute, but we worked on making sure people knew who we were, so that when we reach out to them over the next couple of weeks and months, for them to guest on the show, they'll know who they were talking to. But yes, we did. We spoke to a lot of folks in the hopes that that we'll be able to have them on future episodes for a chat. But yeah, no, Friday was great. Ended beautifully. And then Saturday, we got you. You were there early, just as is your way, because you had jams out there. You had jams to pick up and move around to some of the people. You had to make sure you could get on lists if there were any available. So yeah, I absolutely knew that you were up and out early. Mario and I sashayed over once we were able to run across the street, avoiding marathoners, because Saturday was the Baltimore Marathon. And I know Mario and I dipped out for a little while and then came back just to break things up a little bit. But how was your Saturday?
Yeah, well, hold on there, Speed Demon.
Sorry.
Things here. Yeah, all good. First of all, I want to mention a couple things about the con, because again, we haven't been in a long time. Mm-hmm. First of all, kudos to the organizers. It was super easy for us to get our badges. The badges did their trick. It was, we had full access. It was great. So much love and appreciation for that. The convention center, I didn't really remember the layout. Again, I have no frame of reference of how much it's changed from when we were there over a decade ago. But I will say that one thing that really stood out, and I think has at least been the case for a number of years, but was the first time I'd ever experienced it, is the layout of the con. Generally speaking, and we have frames of reference with New York, with Heroes, with C2E2, with Emerald City. Almost all cons kind of do it the same way, right? Like they have segmented. They have everything segmented. So you'll have now the sizes of each section will vary depending on the con, but you'll have a vendor section, and you'll have there'll be your publishers and your toy sellers and your back issue people and some of your art reps and the like, and then you'll have your, at the bigger cons, you'll have your either the celebrity stuff and the big publisher booths and stuff, and then you'll have Artist Alley, and Artist Alley's almost always been its own little pocket wing of a con, and all the artists are in one spot, and if you're like me, you spend 98% of your time in that area, but they're all right there. At Baltimore is very different. Everything is mixed up and jumbled. There are artists and toy vendors and tchotchke vendors and art reps and publishers. Everybody is mixed together. So it's an interesting choice. Now, because we had never been there before, I already didn't have a great sense of where everybody was. I found it difficult to get around until like maybe Sunday, once we'd done the floor enough that we really started having muscle memory. Because not only was everything jumbled up such that all the artists weren't in one spot, but it was very difficult to know what section you were in, because there were no signage that suggested what rows or sections you were in. So for my feedback, I actually said, I think signage for the aisles would be great, right? Like,
yes,
or maps, because it's not so much that everything's mixed up, so you just didn't know if you were in section A10 or N11. You just didn't know. Yeah. So that was interesting. Took some getting used to, but again, I mean, if you're a regular like we are at the other cons, I'm sure it would just become second nature. So that was cool. I also will say that as I think we mentioned in the preview episode, I had no particular plan on the art hustle this time. It just I wanted to wing it because it was a new con, and I just I just figured we'll see how I feel about everything, and I didn't want to be burdened with the what is sometimes feels like a full-time job when I'm at a con, trying to track down all the art that I'd already wanted to get. So I really went in unencumbered. I had one pre-show with Andrew Kroenke. That was it. That was all I had planned. That was the only thing I for sure knew I was going to do. So when we got there, like you said, we were kind of getting a lay of the land, and probably 10 minutes into getting there, I stumbled across Alan Davis's table. Alan's sitting there signing for people. His rep, or it's really his friend, but his friend who serves as his rep when he's here in the States, Paul Greer, who I've gotten to know. Paul, of course, was with Alan. I had chatted with Paul briefly a couple weeks before the show, just asking him if he knew what kind of published art Alan was planning on bringing, and he said that he never knows in advance. Alan just kind of throws stuff in a portfolio and brings it with him. But he said, to whatever extent Alan asks me if there's anything, is there anything you want? And I said, well, I said, of course, like everybody, I'd love Excalibur pages, but I know that's probably not going to happen. But I went over to say hi, and it kind of all clicked mentally. I was like, oh, well, chances are, if there's anything that Alan brought over with him, published-wise, that I'm going to want to look right now, because I'm sure it'll go quickly. So I opened up the portfolio and was leafing through it, and there's lots of nice stuff in there. And then I turned the pages, and there are 4 beautiful pages from Clandestine. Now, I'm sure you old heads listening know Clandestine is Alan's creation. He originally published it through Marvel UK, and then he did a second series. These are both miniseries. He did a second miniseries at Marvel proper some time ago. It is a story of a bunch. It's basically a soap opera mashed up with Marvel magic fantasy stuff drawn by Alan Davis, and it's great. I love it. I'm sure we've talked about it over the years here once or twice, but if Excalibur is my favorite Alan Davis, Clandestine is not too far behind, because it's seminal Alan. It's his creations, and so I ended up, long story short, I bought 2 of the 4 pages, and I intentionally bought. There were 2 from each of the series, so I bought 1 from the original, which is super cool because, like all stuff from back then, it's fully, the lettering and all the word balloons are on the page itself, which I love. And then I bought a page from the modern run, which is, of course, does not have the lettering or words, but is beautiful. Both are inked by Mark Farmer. No surprise there. And just completely like spur of the moment, whimsical purchase right off the bat. 10 minutes in, it just had me feeling great. Again, just good vibes. And I was like, oh shit! I'm like, this is great. I got published Alan Davis to start off the weekend. So that was awesome. We should also mention on Friday, of course, that we posted up and hung with our boy Tony Fleece, who we knew was going to be there in full effect, and that was awesome. And then yes, to the dinner. For those playing at home. Dap mentioned that it was a chef's table and a tasting menu, and he mentioned it was his first such experience. I should note, so we don't get any angry emails from folks. Yes, I think we realize, of course, that chef's table is in fact different from a tasting menu. You can, in fact, have a tasting menu without it being a chef's table. The chef's table is reserved for the really foo-foo among us. The difference, of course, being that a tasting menu, you just go to a restaurant. It's my favorite type of restaurant. And you don't choose what you are going to eat. The chef just makes you multiple courses and you eat it. I choose that 10 out of 10 times if I have the option. But a chef's table is an even more intimate experience. I've been to, there's different setups, but almost always they are either in the kitchen itself or right next to the kitchen. In this case, it was at a high top table right next to the kitchen with an open glass window. So we were, inches away from the sous chef. And the reason for that is because they want you to be immersive. So it's a true sort of intimate. It's like for comic book heads, it's like paying like $200 to have a meet and greet with like Jim Lee or Todd McFarlane. Like that's what it's like. You're paying for an intimate experience with the chef, and the chef comes out literally with each course of the tasting menu and walks you through what he made you. And it was absolutely wonderful. Shout out to Foraged. They do seasonal farm to table, and it was great. We had a bunch of amuse-bouche, which were all good, save for like I'm not a big fan of lardo, but other than that, but that's a minor thing. We had delicious catfish with cauliflower. We had
butternut squash tort.
Yeah, we had a roasted carrot pistou. We had
The sea bass.
the tagliatelle with mushrooms.
Oh, so
we had the sea bass was incredible. We had pork tenderloin with a radicchio agrodolce, which I would kill. I would snap someone's neck for a jar of that.
So
it was incredibly vinegary. It's like was one of my favorite things I've eaten in a long time. I really, really am dreaming about that with brown butter cauliflower, which is also a big cauliflower eater. I don't know that I've ever had it with brown butter. We had a black pearl oyster, potato parm, and mushroom velouté. We had and then we had a little palate cleanser of Cabernet Sauvignon sorbet, which was also a delight. I'd love to make that at home. I'm going to attempt to do that.
nice.
Then we had a pear tart tartine, and then we had some small like little cakes and cookie and whatnot along with coffee. It was incredible. Honestly, the food was exceptional. The atmosphere was great. The chef and our waitress were fun and
Yeah, our server is also the pastry chef, and
she's also the pastry chef. Yep, yeah. So just a great night, and then we met up. And then before we move on to Saturday, we then met up at the Hyatt with our booze. We met up with we had seen them at the con all day, but we met up for drinks after we all had dinner with Brian Newbury, Brian Clark, Hassan, and then our Brit friends. I mean, one lives in the area, but he's still British. Cliff Cumber and Tony Esmond, yes, expat. So we booed up at the Hyatt, which is where the Comics Discourse fellows were staying, and we found a little spot where we could all coalesce, and we basically made fun of each other for 2 hours and laughed hysterically and looked at each other's Instagram algorithms and laughed at that and were baffled at times about that, and
a little bit.
It was going great until the Hyatt treated us like school children and literally turned the hotel lights off. And this is not like a motel, people. This is like a giant Hyatt hotel, and at 11 o'clock they turned the lights off in the place. I've never seen anything like it. Basically told us it was bedtime, so we were good boys and went back to our hotel and called it a night.
Because there isn't much to do in Baltimore after 11 o'clock, apparently.
No, listen, Charm City has its charms, but it is, let's be
It
fair,
has its charms during the daylight.
It is relatively a dangerous city. I don't want to play into the stereotypes, but it is legitimately a dangerous city. And I think made more so right now because Inner Harbor, which is usually the touristy place where they pack all the security and the police and stuff to keep it completely safe and free, is under massive construction. So there's nowhere near the normal foot traffic you'd see there. And so I guess that's part of it. They don't want to foster 2 a.m. bacchanals, I guess, in Baltimore. But yeah. So Saturday the con started earlier. I went earlier than you guys because you were drag ass. It was fine. I didn't need you to. and as I was reminded, I go early because everyone's like, "Oh, come see me early in the morning," and then of course you go there and I end up holding my dick because they're never at their tables early like they said they'd be. But nevertheless, since I didn't have much of a plan, it really wasn't stressful to me. Honestly, the only thing that was going on Saturday for sure that I wanted to do was just I had gotten some pretty good progress with my jam pieces on Friday, and I was just making sure I got them, picked up from the people that took them overnight and handed off to new people and stuff. But all in all, man, I mean, I don't know what it was like. I always wonder what you guys think of my household, but I felt like I was pretty mellow this time. Like it really didn't, I didn't really have like any kind of like, oh, I can't leave, or I got to do that. It's, in fact, even Friday the show went till 7, but we left the show at 5:30 so we could get dinner. So so I feel like it was kind of nice not having 80 pieces to corral. To be honest with you.
I mean, yes, it did. You only had the one pre-show commission. And you knew you were bringing your jams, and wherever they landed, things were going to get done. But yes, it was much more. You didn't seem to have the blinders on. You weren't as laser focused because you didn't have to make sure you got from point A to point B to making sure that somebody else could get whatever piece, or you had to make sure somebody was at the table because or maybe someone wasn't finishing, and you're going to be here till late Sunday and I'll have it done by the so there was no. It was a very very mellow, or a more mellow experience. There wasn't there wasn't the hustle and bustle. Even Sunday, I mean, not to jump ahead, but I mean, even Sunday, which normally sometimes that can be depending on who you wait. I mean, no, not going to. No disrespect to Govar, but you didn't have to wait for him to put finishing touches on a piece as we're trying to run out the door. Yeah. But we Sunday was nice and leisurely. It Mario had dipped out early that day because he wanted to make sure he got home to his family. But we took our time around the floor. We saw some, which was great because we were able to meet our goal of getting bumpers, but we were also able to talk to people that we didn't get to talk to over the rest of the weekend. So Sunday was
we made the
fabulous.
best use of Sunday that we've made a long time because
yes,
I mean we were driving, so we weren't beholden to a schedule. We didn't have to get to the airport for a specific time. We didn't have to so that was nice, right? We just were like, okay, we'll leave when we want to leave, basically, and then like you said, we for whatever reason, and again, maybe admittedly, we heard Vince's voice in our head saying, "You didn't get the bumpers. Where are the bumpers?
What the fuck?
Why didn't you guys get bumpers?" So we it was like a boulder rolling downhill, right? Like we were both kind of like not sure about how much we're committed we were getting the bumpers, but then we're like, we got to get some bumpers, like our booze, we got to do it. So we got one, and it really did it was like greasing the wheels, and then we felt good, and we just started systematically going around and chatting with people and getting bumpers, and it was a very productive Sunday on that front. So
shout out to Tony for hooking us up with the yearbook because I was able to use that as an icebreaker of sorts.
Right. Now before we move on from go ahead. Yep. I was going to say before we move on from Saturday though, you got to mention that. I mean, we had a great group dinner Saturday night.
Oh yeah, no, Bunnies. Saturday while at the convention. That's really I think that was pretty much my only shopping day because we Jason, who is who Vince and I we were always at his booth at Heroes or New York going through the magazines pretty much every year except this past year at Heroes. Every time I stopped by his booth, I always walk away with something. I'm always walking away with some fanzine of some sort or two. So this time was no exception. I scored 2 issues of the Comics Journal from late 90s, and one from like late 98 or early 99, and one from 2000. So talked to him for a couple of minutes, but yeah, it was Saturday was the busiest day I feel, but it still wasn't it wasn't insane. And to Jason's point, the folks in the back half of the convention floor, the exhibitors and the retailers, their sections were lettered, their aisles, and the on the floor is where you had aisle J or K or L. But again, like Heroes or even New York, where you'll see hanging banners for aisles letting you know where numbers are, those were missing. So there were times where, so Saturday when Mario and I were trying to find Jason, I'm texting, where are you? And you mentioned the Kinetic booth, and I'm like, okay, well, where is that? Because there isn't a Kinetic group on in the program on the show floor. So I had to know. So you told me who the artists were. You said Declan, so I knew exactly where Declan was, and we beat feet over there. But Saturday was nice, and spoke to Tom King for a minute. He was taking a photo with a cosplayer who dressed as a phenomenal Supergirl. She looked great, and apparently I guess she also was. She's been in James Gunn features because she was showing Tom her Instagram, and she was in the background in some scenes. So they were having a conversation. I talked to Tom for a minute, and then Saturday, once we went. Did we leave from the convention? Did we go? No, we went back to the hotel to drop our stuff off, and then went to and then grabbed an Uber to get to Bunnies buckets, and not biscuits, was it?
But it was, don't recall.
But no, it basically you just want to go for the fried chicken. or I mean, the fried chicken is great. That's not the only reason to go, because everything I ate Saturday was close to fantastic. The
potato
the
salad
fried chicken
left a little something to be desired, but
the what?
the potato salad left a little something.
You weren't a fan of the potato salad. I wasn't thrilled with the biscuits, but other than that, I had for the first time fried oysters, which obviously they're not raw, but they weren't roasted, which is now how I prefer them. But still, I had the oysters. There was I sat across from a chocolate cake display that was eye fucking me all night, so that was my goal for the evening. But great drinks, great. Our server that night was great as well. But the food was fantastic. And of course the company was great. I sat across from Jason. Tony was next to him. Brian Newberry was on Jason's right. I had Mario next to me, and then Brian and Hassan, and but it was, yeah. Overall, what was the vibe for you with Bunnies?
No, same. It was amazing. I thought it was a phenomenal night. We had we
were there for a while
hours.
too.
I mean, we were there for like 3 hours. I mean, we
Yeah.
just had a great time, just laughing and talking, catch up on life, and again, it was like I was saying at the start of this. I mean, just the intimacy of having time with everybody was really special. To just, we didn't feel pressed or like just like, oh, I didn't get to catch up like we had intended. We got to catch up. I mean, I feel like came away having a pretty good sense of what's going on in everybody's lives, everybody's feeling, what's going on. It was awesome, and we often bust Fleece's ass because we don't, like, we'll be at a con and then he'll have like SNL tickets or some shit.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was nice to actually spend some QT with him too. So
For real.
Yeah. No. All in all, just Bunnies was a phenomenal evening. Wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we got to spend some extra time with Tony because he came back to the room with us because he was staying with his collaborator Trish. In the burbs, so he was with us for a little while, waiting for the Uber to pick him up. So yeah, it just extended the chill vibes, and then Sunday we got up. That's when we kind of just took it nice and easy. Mario dipped out from there, and then we hit the con for the last day, and that's when I finally met Trevor, and shout out to Trevor for the complete Megaton Man Universe Volume 1, the 1980s collection. That's sitting right here next to me, complete with a Don Simpson doodle inside. And then we just went up and down the aisles, starting with Russ Braun, and Jason caught up with him for a few minutes and realized that he basically lives 15 minutes, not even 15 minutes north of me. And we just went up and down the rows, and saw creators that I had never seen before, and completely blew my mind because based on his artwork, I did not expect Jason Burrows to look like that. He's just there are a few creators like that, but yeah, I mean but he was great to talk with. We chatted up with Mark Buckingham for a few minutes. There was I said hello to Philip Kennedy Johnson because he's interested in coming back on the show, and he just caught up with him for a few minutes. He said he had a great time, so he wants to come back. I got completely tongue-tied and all discombobulated when trying to talk to Dennis Cowan.
You really did, dude. You got mad, like nervous, which is cute.
This is adorable. No regrets, but yeah, it was a rare moment where I just I don't know what it is either. I can talk to Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, not that he'd understand. I can talk to so many other people, but but for some reason, Dennis just he's got a spell on me. But Ron Garney, we talked to him for a few minutes. Dave Johnson, caught up to Jamal Igle, who we haven't seen in a good long while. The one gem of a story, of course, is Al Milgrom, because it's I mean, he can weave a yarn for sure. That was wild. And it was Dave Johnson, Joe Staten. I mean, there were so many. I got the list. I finally got to thank John Timms for the beautiful work he's laid on my eyeballs over the years. Saw Bob Hall and told him how much I would have loved to have him continue his West Coast Avengers run after the miniseries, but other things have come up, especially the Squadron Supreme maxi series that he was excited to do. So that took him out of the running for the ongoing. I got a picture with Frank Cho for Renee, because she's a big fan of Cho's work. And Frank invited Jason to go to a museum and bid on a Domino cover.
He did, yes. I did look. It's not. You don't have to bid. It's actually for sale. I did look. It's $8,800.
Oh, that's not as bad as I thought, because we were thinking like the tens of thousands. But yeah, okay.
I guess. Yeah. Decent amount though. Decent amount.
Yeah. It's still not something Beth will be pleased with. But yeah. And
it's also a cover. I don't mess with the covers for that.
That's
reason.
true.
I don't need a cover. I just need to draw me a domino.
You're right. True that. Charles Vess, which was great.
Although he's epic too, by the way. He looks good.
He does. He looks great. He does. He looks really, really good. We stopped by Charles Vess's table while he was working. Spoke mostly to his handler, but which was still a fun conversation. And surprisingly, there was absolutely nobody on Sunday at this particular moment at Stan Sakai's table. So we were able to talk to him for a few minutes, and I won't spoil Jason's surprise there, but I mean, and he took the yearbook out of my hand and doodled on his page in the yearbook. So that was a memory. Baltimore. This was a great con for so many reasons. Every day while we were there, there's something I can appreciate about being on that convention floor. And
yeah, for sure.
I want to go back, and I mean, whereas last time it was cool and it was new and we said we're going to go back, but of course the timing of it is always it happens during my blackout at work. It tends to usually be around Labor Day. Next year it's at the end of September, so I don't know what that's going to do regarding our schedule. I'm not stressing it yet, but it was Sunday was a great day it was a great conclusion. It was a great ending to the convention for me.
Agreed. You've covered a lot of the people and interactions, but I do have a list here. Such that we don't want to. Sometimes we're at a con, there's just too many people, but in this one I feel like I got it covered. So in terms of friends, as I mentioned, I mean, we spent the bulk of our time with Mario, Brian Hassan, Tony, Cliff, and of course, and then Felice. But we also got to meet for the first time two of our wonderful patrons. Of course, you mentioned Trevor, which was awesome. And this was also Trevor's first ever con, which is incredible.
That's amazing.
So I hope it won't be his last. And then I don't believe you got to meet him, but I got to meet him and get a picture and a hug with Mr. Richard Shannon.
I did.
Who was a wonderful gent, and he's been a supporter for our show for a long time, and he was very, very sweet, and it was great. I'm really glad I got to spend some time with him. In terms of people that I chatted with over the weekend, in terms of creators, again, you've covered some of these, so I won't belabor those, but I'll just mention them. But shout out to Bill O'Donnell and Adriana Mello, who I see at every con and always chat up. You mentioned Al Milgrom. That was one of the highlights. He's, we were both thinking he was going to be like kind of maybe he could have been like an old salty dog, but he was one of those storytellers, man. He's more Chaykin than
Buckler.
Than Buckler. Thank you.
Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth. Than Buckler. I did get to say hello to Mr. Alan Davis while I was over buying art from him. Of course, Mr. Get Cronked Up, Andrew Cronky, one of those young bucks who's way better than he realizes. Soon enough, hopefully, the rest of the world sees the talent that he is. Anthony Marquez, who I met at Heroes for the first time. He's part of the Essential Crew, and hit it off with him, and he was there. So I actually chatted him up, got him to do another jam for me. Real cool dude. Did chat with Art Adams as I was looking through his portfolio. I put my name in as I do every con for his lottery. He did not choose Domino again. Damn him, but that's okay. Someday he will, I hope. Becky Cloonan, again, we tried on Sunday desperately to get a bumper from her, but she's a popular woman. She is a very popular woman. She was probably one of the most attended booths of the people we were anxious to speak to. So I did earlier in the con get to chat with her for a bit and tell her what a fan of her stuff, because she's repped by Andrew Chrisman, but we did not get a bumper, unfortunately. Shout out to Bernie Cook and Marshall Hinson. They are mainstays at Heroes, two local boys at Heroes who also, as it turns out, table at Baltimore every year because they have a connection with one of the LCSs out that way. So it was fun seeing them unexpectedly. Bob McLeod, looked through his book, chatted him up a bit. Mr. Brandon Peterson, Brian Stelfreeze. I have to give Stelfreeze a shout out. He drew a gorgeous T'Challa head sketch for a young gentleman for free. It was I guess the kid was maybe like 12 or 13.
Nice.
And as he was chatting, it was we collectors would have gladly paid $300-400 for it, and he did it for him for free. So awesome to see. Of course, I always, any con I'm Chris Campagna's there. I'm there chatting him up and getting jam pieces from him. I also got to meet his lovely wife and kids. Cliff Chang, who you and I had just partied with the week before, so it wasn't like we hadn't seen him in a while, but he was there. Danny, D-A-N-I, is always fun. She's part of the Kinetic crew. You mentioned Govar, of course. Spent a lot of time chatting with him. You mentioned Reverend Dave. Said a quick hello to David Walker. I don't know if you did, but just a quick shake hands and hey, good to see you. Hope all is well.
Nice.
Had a nice couple, like probably I'd say a good hour and a half combined talking with Declan, because we often see him at New York, but he's like, New York is crazy and he's often mobbed. Yep. So he had a lot more. The other thing I wanted to mention as we're talking, I forgot to say about this con, is that it was by far the least crowded con we've ever attended. Now that may not be great news for the creators, but as an attendee, it was amazing. It was less crowded. Every day at Baltimore felt like a Thursday at Heroes. And that there were people, but it was never hard to get around. There was never a table or a booth that you couldn't get right to, which was awesome. You mentioned you're shitting your pants with Dennis Cowan. You mentioned Frank. Shout out to small press creator George Deep. He's often at Heroes. I had a very awkward moment with George. I was at Govar's table, and George comes walking up and says, "Hey, it's Jason Wood, 11 O'Clock Comics." And I knew we were going to meet Trevor, and I didn't, but I hadn't met him yet. So I assumed because of the way he was coming at me that it was Trevor. So I put out my arms and gave him a hug. And then as I was hugging him, it dawned on me that it was George Deep. And I just played it off like it was intentional, and he was fine with it, like it was. But I was sitting there thinking, like, I just hugged this man. He's probably thinking, "Why the fuck did the guys like? Wow, this guy really must like my stuff." So, George, sorry if it felt awkward. I didn't mean to be awkward. I really thought you were someone else for a minute. Sorry about that. Gus Vasquez, who we met at Tony's table. I had a really nice time chatting with Mr. Chaikin. I believe that was Friday. I chatted with him. I actually bought a nice little naughty doodle from him. He always has those random little naughty doodles that he's selling. As you mentioned, Jason Burrows, probably the most disarmingly interesting conversation, because he writes these bombastically violent horror comics, and then he's like the sweetest, like, quiet dude.
Well, draws them.
I'm not right. It draws them, yes. So it's kind of funny. As you mentioned, it was great seeing Jamal and hearing about his life and family. A quick hello with Jeremy Hahn. I think he was tabling. I didn't actually come across his table, but I did see him and give him a little fist pump and said I look forward to catching up to him, more at one of the next cons we see him. Jim Calafiore, cue Vince's chuckle. But Jim is always tabled right next to Mike McCone, of course. Yeah. So yeah. Jim Chung, went to his table very early on Friday to look at his published pages. There was nothing in there. There were a few pages from our book from our Infinity book, but there was nothing. He hasn't done really anything in terms of interiors in a long time that was like up my alley,
Yeah.
But you always check. Nice chat with Jim Rugg. He's got a new gig working with Gary Vaynerchuk. I also was able to pick up the adults only
Finally,
zine mini comic or
that
big
was...
comic that he did that he sold out at Heroes before I got a chance to get it. Mr. Chris Pitzer, again, just Chris was there as a fan. He's retired from publishing, but ran into him, talked to him. He I think he probably reached out already, but he gives giving Vince big hugs and telling me to pass on to Vince that he's pulling for him, of course.
That was the theme of the weekend as well. Everybody,
yes, that is true. That's true. Yes, everybody that knows Vince or listens to the show, the first thing that was brought up is either they had heard the episode last week and wanted to wish him well, or they asked of him, and then we let them know that he's kicking the Big C's ass. John Pearson, as you mentioned, John Snyder, you mentioned Tim's. Kerry Andrews, quick hello to him. Handsome dude, good looking dude, in shape, fit. Definitely not your typical comic nerd. You and I looked through his art. Beautiful, like twice up commissions and covers, like gorgeous stuff in person, but very, very expensive, justifiably so, but like in the thousands, for like a pinup, but beautiful. Laura Martin and her husband, always a treat. I got her to color 2 more jams for me. She's terrific. As you mentioned, we got to chat with Buckingham. Mark Morales, I always like to talk with him. Didn't buy anything from him, but I always look through his stuff and catch up. Fellow Jersey guy. Michael Dooney, I don't know if you got to see Michael, but I chatted with Michael for a bit. Found out after, we've known Michael for almost 20 years now, at least in terms of since we're doing the show, and found out this weekend that he is the guy who drew the cover art to the NES game, the Turtles NES game, which is like an all-timer for me. Mike Hawthorne, Mike McCone, always a must-stop for me. I got a beautiful spiral piece that he had done.
Beautiful mane of hair.
Oh, Mike Hawthorne is a handsome devil. He's got beautiful long hair. Mike McCone is always a stop for me. Cool dude. He's up your way, by the way, Dap. You live in Northern New York. I just found that out. Didn't know that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Like you said, one of the other highlights of the weekend was reconnecting with Norton. Mike had been out of the con scene for pretty much since before the pandemic for lots of reasons, for quote unquote reasons, justifiably. Yeah. But it was great seeing him back. I think he's like back. Like he's been enjoying his first few cons back out. Been getting great reception, great love. He's obviously doing a lot of mainstream work again. So I think we're going to see him hopefully at Heroes, he said. So I'm excited. He looks great. I think he's in a good place. And the one thing I'll say is some things never change. Mike still grossly undercharges for his art talents. It's ridiculous. Nate Lovett, who I believe you met briefly because I brought you by the table to pick up my jam. Great dude. PKJ, as you mentioned. Rich Henneman, who's also art from Rod Rice. You mentioned Garney. You mentioned Russ Braun. Another great moment. We did get a bumper from this gentleman, but the legend himself, Mr. Stan Sakai. I actually bought an Usagi piece from him. It just felt like the right time. I mean, he always has stuff for sale at the cons, but like I've never had we've never actually had a chance to sit and chat with him before. As gregarious and lovely as you hear he is from everybody who's ever met him. And it feels right to have an Usagi in my collection. It really does. You mentioned Tommy King, of course. Tom Rainey, another Jersey boy who I always get something from. Felice, Tony Moy, who's always tables next to Daniel Govar, does beautiful watercolor work. You mentioned Trish Forstner, aka Team Stray Dogs, Team Feral. Tula Lotte. Nice long chat this weekend with Wade von Grawbadger, who's a pretty shy dude. But I bought a pretty cool page from an Amazing Spider-Man issue from a few years ago. That it was a backup feature in Amazing Spider-Man featuring Spider-Woman, but it was Spider-Woman fighting Taskmaster. So that was awesome. Zoe Thorogood, of course, and then just a couple of the reps that I always chat with: Andrew Chrisman, Jason Schechter, Paul Greer, Joe Melchior, Mike Alexandropoulos, and I think that's it. But yeah, those are all the peeps that I spent some QT with over the weekend. And again, the cool thing is every name I mentioned, I actually had like a nice chat with. It wasn't just
that's exactly right.
So an amazing weekend, really was. It would have been perfect if Vince was with us, because we laughed our asses off. We would have laughed even more. I don't know about you, but I think we should make Baltimore a semi-regular thing. I don't think we can commit to it every year because that would require like I just don't have the energy to do like that.
It depends on how close it is to New York.
But even so, I don't know that I just I can't I don't think I could commit to the idea of doing like 2 cons within a month of each other because just monetarily and time wise. But I do think that it was a great time, and I would happily like put it into the rotation, kind of like the way C2E2 used to be. Like every couple of years we'd go. So, which is not to say we won't ever do C2E2 again, but it's a bigger commitment to fly to Chicago than it is to drive to Baltimore. So,
the only name I did forget is Mr. Mark Hempel. He and Mark Wheatley had a nice little setup for Breathtaker's anniversary. Mario and I both picked up the one shot "Make Way for the Man" that from the pages of Breathtaker. So talked to Mark for a few minutes. Very very low key, very mellow fellow. He flipped through his portfolio. He had some great images from his Sandman work. And right next to him was on the other side of their booth was Carla Speed McNeil. But yeah, there were some people that I meant to go back and see, but like Matthew Clark was one. But either people were busy or not at their table. As I swung back around and I realized as I was going through the program earlier to prepare for tonight, that I didn't, for some reason, somehow I missed Jeremy Hawn's name initially. Otherwise, I would have definitely tried to say hi to him because it is like Norton. It's been a minute since it's been a few heroes since I've seen Jeremy, so that'd have been nice to catch up on. But yeah, it was absolutely if you do have the chance, if you enjoy your comic conventions with not a lot of celebrity overflow, then Baltimore is it. And what was nice about this is that the celebrities, your Giancarlo Esposito, the Weasley siblings, Michael Bain and his wife, they were in the back area where the lines could form, so you could have your photos and autographs with them. The voice actors for the X-Men animated series were in an area that was kind of off to the side. So, I mean, you knew they were there, but again, nothing was really in the way. You knew exactly where to go if you had something in mind. So, while the layout may seem awkward from like an aerial perspective, as far as the planning and things you need to get done, I think they kind of did it right. I definitely like you. I applaud the organizers, the way everything was set up, and super smooth. I mean, even like you said, with picking up the badges on Friday late morning was easy enough. But even once you get into the convention center, you can make either a left or a right, go down the escalator or the stairs, and you're there. Like there was no herding of the masses to try to get to an area. You weren't stepping on anybody else's heels to get anywhere. It even leaving at the end of the day, like it wasn't. There was no stampede rush. Nobody was angry. Nobody was aggravated about any sort of line or hold up. It was just it really was one of my favorite and smoothest convention experiences outside of Heroes, or even in some cases even with Heroes, because Heroes has this small opening to get in, the narrow entrance and the escalators. But yeah, I mean I can't complain about any con that isn't Reed Pop, but yeah, I am extremely happy we were able to go. Love them for putting up with us, and can't wait to make it back.
Well said. Yeah. So there you have it, folks. Baltimore deserves to be in the rotation if you're in that vicinity.
Big time.
Wumba.
It is an hour.
So that's it, man. That's the con, and that's our last con of 2025.
Yes.
You know, I mean, really, the next one we have for sure is Heroes next year, which is a long ass time away. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what's next. I mean, I'd love to figure one out. To me, I'd love to do OAX, but I know that's not exactly. It's not going to be as much as y'all's vibe. So, no, I could. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be there
primarily for the art hustle. I don't see me doing too many pre-shows, but I mean to just be to just be around it, be involved, see that side of things, because I mean it's basically it's probably the closest I'd ever get to like Lake Como. So it's not I'm sure. Yeah, I don't think back issue bin diving would happen there, but still,
no, they don't. That's not that. Yeah,
yeah. I think I would still like to at least experience it, and I mean I could see we'd also be there with our NC boys, so that would be nice. It we don't see them enough anyway, but yeah, OAX would be something as fun as Florida may be these days, but
you have to dust off your wallet and go and pay for a Disney ticket too, though, which would
Yeah, that's where we might get into trouble. It's funny, as somebody who hasn't been to a theme park since my preteen years, I think as much as I would love to go to Disney for any of the Marvel stuff they have available on this side of the Mississippi, or any Star Wars stuff. I've been, if we, meaning my wife and I, she's partial to Universal. She's had way more fun there than she's ever had at a Disney theme park.
Well, the Woods are fans of all things.
Sure. Yes.
Orlando. So I'm not gonna. I mean, Universal's lit too. So. But if we're going with the NC boys, we're going to Disney because they fucking.
Of course, yes, I know.
Yeah. You know how they do. So, like, I don't even know if they know that Universal exists.
It's true, you know. They do. Yeah, they do. They're definitely they're pinkies out Disney fans for sure.
Yes, just like they are with the coffee. They're like that with the Disney.
Oh my God. Yeah. If you want to insult them, offer them an iced coffee.
Especially a Starbucks iced coffee.
It's just
right.
It's insane. Oh, yes. And now with the Baltimore Comic-Con portion of our episode out of the way, we'll talk about a couple things that we've read recently. I know we had our Image-O-Rama last week. Reading anything from any other publishers?
Well, my friend, it is we have to record this. It is October 23rd, so we will have one other October episode. That's we'll record on the day before Halloween as well. But it is the Mrs. Spooky season for many of us. You know, this is the month when we many of us really hold off during much of the year we don't listen. I never completely avoid horror in any of its forms. I enjoy the genre too much, but I do stockpile horror films and to a lesser extent horror comics for this month. And since I am so deep in the horror film gauntlet right now, I think I've watched 15 horror movies this month already. I wanted to bring a comics version of that to the show. And you know, the truth is we are in a halcyon time for horror comics. Like some of the best on the stands are just horror. Like it's just a genre that's thriving of late, the last few years. And so I didn't want to bring any of those to the table because we already talked about them. And so those, when I say those, I mean the following. Exquisite Corpses, we've talked about a ton lately. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees Rites of Spring, we've already covered, since the series started, the second limited series started. Something's Killing Its Children, we've talked about it a million times. Our boy Tony Farrell, of course, continues to do its thing. We've talked about Hello Darkness. We've talked about Hyde Street. So they're all things that are like I'm currently reading, keeping up with, that are horror, but like I feel like we've covered them. So I wanted to talk about some other horror books, and I read, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I read seven of them that I don't think I've ever discussed. At least these volumes. There's two of them I've discussed prior volumes, but and so that's a lot of comics. So I'm not going to go through them all in great detail. I'm going to go through them in opposite order of my enjoyment. That's what I'm going to do, Dap. I'm going to play favorites. Yes, because listen, not all things are created equal. When I do my movie marathon, some of them are whiffs, some of them are just meh, some of them are mid, and some of them are great. And it's the same way with the horror comics, with any comics. But in this case, so I read some. They range from "you really don't need to ever touch this, trust me," to "oh my god, this is brilliant and will be on my little Oscars." All right. So let's get the bad out of the way. I don't want to say bad. Let's get the "it didn't work for me" out of the way. Least favorite of my 7, Ghostbusters: Dead Man's Chest. You might be saying, "Why the fuck do you read a Ghostbusters comic?" Well,
I did say that when I saw it on your list.
I know. I've enjoyed the movies, right? Like I've enjoyed the films, and this is set. This is the current version of the Ghostbusters. The current films version. It's a Dark Horse, so bluntly, we get provided them for free, so I didn't have to make a big financial commitment. And I just thought, because it's spooky season, I thought, you know what, the Dark Horse has put out a crap ton of Ghostbusters comics over the years, and I have precious little insight into them, but they keep coming out, so it just felt like it's now or never, and it should have been never, because the creative team, writer David Boer, aptly named Boer, artist Aviv Orr, colors Chris Peter. Like I said, this actually they specified that this limited series takes place in between Afterlife and Frozen Empire, the last 2 films. It's just a no for me, Bob. It's the art is completely inoffensive but very plain, minimal backgrounds, very cartoony likenesses of the characters, but importantly, just uninteresting visual choices. And you know what I mean? Like just by the numbers. Like you could picture someone learning how to draw comics at SCAD and being presented a script and saying, draw your comic, and it's fine. Like it's fine, right? Like you're like this. Aviv may have a great career ahead of them, but this is step 1 of that career. So totally forgettable. We can move on.
Okay.
Yes. Second from the bottom, Behemoth. Also a Dark Horse comic. I had fairly high hopes for this, honestly. By I remember the solicit and it seeming really cool. This idea of a giant kaiju, and it being like out dealing with like a seafaring, like sailors having to deal with a kaiju, which I thought was cool, because normally when you deal with kaiju, it's on terrain, on solid ground. Two writers, Grant Sputore and Ryan Engel, with art and colors by Jay Martin. The premise I'm down for. Again, a giant kaiju is attacking a seafaring city and swallows a bunch of people, like whole, because he swallows the ship. He basically bites a ship, like a freighter, in half, and half the ship goes into his body, and so they're inside the ship and protected from his stomach, acids. It's the Jonah the whale, right? It's that kind of story, only with kaiju. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Like I've never seen anything like that before. But that's where the premise, it ends with the good premise. Listen, again, I don't want to besmirch the gentleman. He's a professional working for Dark Horse, but for me, Jay Martin's art just didn't do it. I thought it was very, very forgettable art that just did nothing visually to make the kaiju or the circumstances these people were in interesting. Even though they're inside a kaiju's belly, most of the book is like they're inside of a steel room with people talking, and it's a really strange decision to have a book billed as a giant kaiju encounter being about talking heads in a room trying to survive. So you can also skip that one. So 0 for 2 Dark Horse, 0 for 2 on the hard. Third, and we're getting into, at least will work for some people, but maybe not everyone, and that is Crush Depth. Now, this may be the first Mad Cave comic I've read in a long time. It's written by David Andry and Tim Daniel, with art by Alex Sanchez. This is a this is essentially a deep sea riff on The Thing. It's like a Thing Abyss riff mashup. They're all aboard there's a group of people aboard a futuristic submarine. They've been in the submarine for 10 years, and it becomes clear as the miniseries goes on that it's post-apocalyptic. They're in the submarine. It's a research vehicle. They're surviving in the deep sea, but most of humanity's been wiped out. They're constantly in search of other humanity and other and land, places to make landfall, and they've basically been searching to no avail for 10 years. And so it's just the people, all the scientists and the captain living on the ship, and they're living a pretty calm like existence. It's the chief scientist's birthday on the start of the series. But of course, because it would be a pretty boring comic if that's all it was, something finally goes awry. They come across their first human encounter in years, and the humans are all dead and seem to be like consumed by some kind of virus or bacteria. They take samples, and of course, all these fucking people. It's just like with Alien, like they always got to take the samples. Like, why are you taking the samples? Like, they take the sample, and of course, the sample has a biologic in it that is an outbreak, and it's like The Thing. It kind of starts looking almost like like green algae or something, and then it morphs into a creature, and then that creature ingests into a person, and that person morphs into a gigantic body horror monster, and so forth. Like I said, it's a riff on The Thing with the abyss kind of mixed in because of the deep sea. The fact that it's in the ocean is relatively inconsequential. It could have been a spaceship, right? Because again, most of the scenes and the art is taking place inside of these futuristic rooms with all kinds of circuitry. So it could just as easily have been a spaceship. It's an easy read. It was a fast read. To their credit, they get right to the action, and it's nonstop action. It's very evocative of like an Alien movie in that regard. Like once the shit goes wrong, it continues to go very, very until the end. Which I thought was cool. I would say they're not treading any new ground, like visually, but I thought the visuals were solid. Like I thought Sanchez's art was solid, and definitely a step above the prior two books that I've mentioned. So I'll give a one thumb up to Crush Depth. Again, not breaking any great new ground. It's not a must read by any stretch, but okay. Now we're getting into the stuff I actually enjoyed. Endeavor was, I don't know if it's Endeavor or Endevour, because it's spelled Endevour, and I think that's the point. So it may be Endevour. It's Endeavour, and I presume you're getting this too because this is by our boo Mark Laming. He did the art. This is Distillery. Stephanie Phillips is the writer. Our boo Mark is on art with Lee Leverage on colors. Fairly simple concept in the first issue, just like all Distillery books. It's like 54 pages, so it's kind of like 2 issues to start. There was a 1700s era pirate ship called the Endeavor. It's obviously long since sunk to the bottom of the ocean, but it was renowned for being a really tough pirate ship, and also one that had some sort of conveyance of having like a curse upon it. For some reason, it's now modern times, and they've decided to rebuild the Endeavor and use it as a luxury escape vacation, where now 20 super rich people are going to go on this 3-week sailing venture and pretend to be like non-tech 1700s pirates. So we're introduced to all the characters. And as the voyage sets off, there are all matter of problems leading to essentially a plague, which wipes out all the adults. All that's left are the kids from the family. So there's like, I don't know, it's like 5, 6, or 7 kids, and kind of that's the setup of the series. I will say this, like I said, this counts in. I liked it. I liked it because of Mark's art. I think. If I'm being really fair here, though, and I hope Mark, if he hears this, doesn't take this the wrong way, I think Stephanie did him no favors. Because the premise is super cool, but I feel like she gave him a script where the job was to draw 20 different human beings standing around having conversations with each other in small cramped rooms. And he does that masterfully. Like, to his credit, he makes all 20 people visually distinctive. And, these aren't superheroes. They don't have costumes. They're not showing off powers. They're just 20 human beings, and making 20 human beings visually different and interesting enough to a comics reader is very difficult. Think about it. It's not easy to do, and Mark does it wonderfully. So I give him all the credit in the world. Unfortunately, I don't believe Stephanie gave him an opening script of a first issue that lets him strut his stuff visually. He wasn't asked to do anything like really wild or exciting that we know he's more than capable of. Now, I think as the series progresses, given the setup, I think it will get really interesting, and he'll get to show off his chops more, more than he had in this issue. But I also think it's fair to criticize Stephanie and Stillery for, if you're going to give people 54 pages and ask them to spend $9 for a comic, you probably should hook them in the first issue, right? Yep. Like you shouldn't count on them coming back for the second. So again, one thumb up for Mark. I'm not sure I can give a thumb up to Stephanie. We'll have to see how the next issue plays out. Let's see. That's 1, 2. Okay. It Killed Everyone But Me, #1. This is just the first issue. The next one I think comes out next week. This is written by Ryan Parrott, with art by Leticia Cadnici, who I love her work. She is essentially, to my eyes, a clone of Werther Dell'Edera. And not surprisingly, she's also done fill-in work for Something Is Killing the Children as a result of that. I love her work. If you like Werther Dell'Edera's work, you will love Leticia's work. This is also by Mad Cave Dap. I'm Mad Cave crazy suddenly. It's a Mad Cave-O-Rama. But this one was a lot of fun. And again, admittedly, this is only one issue. All the stuff I've talked about to this point were full and complete limited series that I read the entire thing. So this could go either continue to go right or could go wrong. But the first issue was great. I thought it was really fun. Basically, the setup is going to sound just like something out of Something Is Killing the Children. There's a lone survivor. She was a teenage girl. She was found at a house in a catatonic state. She was the lone survivor of a brutal mass murder. Of everyone else in the house was killed brutally. We're now fast forwarding 25 years later. She is a real estate agent in a nearby town, kind of living a normal life. She's got a daughter. And the police come to find her because a murder that was equally as gruesome and had many of the same kind of clues and an MO to what she survived 25 years before has happened again, and her help. And we find out that she has a supernatural demon killer that she has got trapped, and it leaves a lot of questions. Like, did she somehow call this killer 25 years ago and she's responsible for the massacre? Is she responsible for this one? Is this an adjacent similar demon, but now she's going to know how to handle it because she has this one that she's got trapped? Very cool. I love Cadnici's art. I thought it was a perfect first issue, and that's a really neat premise. And if you like the Tynion stuff, if you're into the Tynion verse, you're going to love this comic. And let's be honest. This is very much, I think, Mad Cave saying, we should do something that's similar to Tiny Onion, and it worked. But it worked for me. The first issue worked. And now I've got my last two, but I will pause. Those are both I would consider great comics, and I want to give them a little more in-depth love. So I will cede the floor to you, good sir.
Oh, well. No, I haven't. I have it, but I haven't made my way to End of Hour yet. Because I do, yes, obviously it's Mark. We've known him for years. Always been a fan of his work, going back to, even before his Star Wars stuff. But I'm also a fan of Stephanie Phillips, and so I want to read it now to see if my take is different than yours. I doubt it will be, which bums me out a little bit. But not everybody can hit a home run. I did read this week's issue of Exquisite Corpses. Like you said, we touched on it even before the Image-O-Rama last week. But I did. I was pleased with the 6th issue for a couple of reasons. Because we're getting. It looks like maybe we're picking up momentum as far as how the killers are doing their thing, but it looks like the folks pulling the strings want to liven things up a little bit, so they might sprinkle in some pizzazz. But I was really happy because one of the killers who's pretty pranky-esque, is gets the spotlight, and I'm pleased with the outcome there, without going into too much detail and trying to spoil anything. But yeah, and my favorite moment was probably when our EMT was talking to the Craig's mom, and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your boss." He's like, "Yeah, well, I'm not." So that was great. I enjoyed this issue. Last issue felt like it didn't. Issue 5 with the whole club dance hall scene. It felt like a short issue the way things were moving, but I was happy with number 6. I touched on this on the Slack because Dan Bryan was happy about it, and I'm not. We're here to promote and rising tide and all that, and if something's bringing someone joy, I'm not going to try to squash that. Even though the first comment to his post was you doing a hashtag do you, but the Punisher #1, part of the Marvel Knights: The World to Come in air quotes event, which is written by Jimmy Palmiotti with of course, as always, great looking art by Dan Panosian. If I'm going to talk about anything that really maybe didn't bring me joy, it's a Punisher story. It's fine, but as I said to Dan, I kind of brought my baggage with it, and I had expectations. I had expectations because of what Joe and Jimmy did in the early aughts when Marvel went to them, gave them a couple of characters to revamp, and that of course gave us the Marvel Knights imprint. So because Jimmy was there at the beginning of this, the Punisher was one of the characters that he and Joe brought out of mothballs and fixed after the Avenging Angel miniseries. The fact that Panosian is drawing it and it's tied into the world to come, I was all for it. But it at least this, and I think maybe with the third issue, there's more of a connection to what Priest and Quesada are doing with the World to Come series. But as far as this first issue, there's absolutely, except for maybe the year it takes place and the way it's presented with the way they're breaking down the years, 8 years before the World to Come, 25 years. That's part of this. So there's that kind of like trade dress, interior trade dress, but it has no connection to Black Panther just yet. But it's fine as a Punisher story. So, I mean, I'm happy to have... I haven't started the new Punisher series. I have the 2 issues of that, but I haven't started it yet. But as a Punisher story, this is fine. I'm just waiting for it to actually have a connection to the reason why I'm reading it. As far as the World to Come, I did read issues 2 and 3. I liked the third issue because we see T'Challa kind of we see T'Challa as a young boy because his father T'Chaka leaves him in Harlem to be trained by a cleric. The cleric basically runs a bodega, and he and T'Challa sleeps in the basement. And one day, this was great, and I knew it. I knew it even before. It was so obvious, but it was neat. They didn't really need to do the shadow at the end, but there's a scene where there's a couple pages where T'Challa hears a commotion outside the basement window, and it's a young boy who's got a bloody nose, and he says, "I know they're around here somewhere." And he's scrambling, looking around on the ground. So he and T'Challa are talking through the window, and then the kid comes inside, and they're talking about the Bible and the book that T'Challa is reading, and all the old teachings and writings from Wakanda. And that's when the kid decides to leave, and they introduce each other. And he says, I'm T'Challa. And I knew it because the kid's got fucking red hair. And he goes, oh, I'm Matt. And he goes, oh, I found him. And he picks them up and he puts on his red glasses. And I'm like, okay, obviously. But then he jumps over a fence. And in case you didn't get it, as he's jumping over the fence, the way the street light hits him, the shadow of him jumping over the fence is just like a larger version of a silhouette of Daredevil. I'm like, I don't think we needed that. I think you kind of, we all got it. We were in on it. You didn't really. So in any event, but I did enjoy the third issue, and then other than that, as far as in trying to keep giving Marvel a chance, I'm going to go back and read the start of this. This. I think I want to see how this Age of Revelation started. I didn't read the Zero issue or the. I didn't read the start of it. I just decided. I basically then went eeny, meeny, miny, mo because I wanted to read Amazing X-Men because our boy Mahmoud is drawing it.
He is, yes.
And yes, he is, which is all I can say about that. But I decided to, because of course I absolutely love Quentin Quire. I decided to read Omega Kids #1, and I don't know, I don't know what, aside from the recap that tells you what's going on in this event, and then you get the timeline with all the issues. I don't know what's going on, so I'm thankful for the blurb on the inside on the credits page. But if this was younger me, and there weren't so many other books vying for my attention that I'm actively enjoying, I probably would be more into this event and trying to chase down all the tie-ins, because it part of it does, obvious. I mean, it's evocative of the Age of Apocalypse, and that was wild. I mean, those 4 or 5 months were absolutely amazing. We know you can't go home again, no matter how many times you try. But yeah, I don't know. I think I might dance around and pick an issue here and there just to try. But other than that, it's because I haven't been reading X-Men after Hickman left. I don't know what's going on in this universe. So I'm not sweating that too much. But I'm saving what I did enjoy for later. But wrapping up this Marvel-O-Rama, I also read One World Under Doom #7, and the previous issue, of course, was a lot of talking with Reed and Doom, and Reed trying to have the mask slip a little bit and put Victor on display for the whole world to see. And this issue picks up right after that, but after about a week since that broadcast, minds and attitudes have shifted back towards Victor doing good and everybody being on his side, and then the heroes are coming together, and we see their plan of attack. But of course, Doom is smarter than everybody, and he's aware of everybody's powers and what they can do. So he's prepared for everybody's attack. And then Reed does something kind of. Reed becomes the scientist supreme. So he's wearing like some kind of sort of not the cloak, not Doom's, not Strange's cloak, because obviously that's what Doom is wearing. But he's got his own little flowing red cape. He's got he's basically, Reed has the powers of all the other heroes. They're in a new dimension. Dormammu's involved to a degree, but again, things don't go the way anybody wants them to, and the issue ends in a similar fashion the way previous issues have ended, where basically Doom's omnipotent. He's he's the Beyonder in armor. It's just he has nothing's going to stop him, and even and the only thing that might the only glimmer of hope I found in this issue is possibly Valeria getting involved, and I don't know if she's going to be the reason why Doom's going to give all this up. I don't know if she's going to, tug on his tunic or the cloak and tell him to stop. I don't know what's going to happen, but they spent a couple of pages on her and the rest of the kids out in Arizona as they're watching the fight. But she's watching her godfather obliterate her friends and her family, and for her to kind of just hang back in the cut and watch all this happen. We got 2 issues to go. I'm still not sure. I have an idea how it might end, but I don't know how we're going to get there yet. So we'll see what North has in store. But yeah, I know that it was not my intention at all to bring the room down after the great Baltimore talk on a couple of things that I haven't been feeling. But
everybody, welcome to your lukewarm Marvel Minute of the week.
That's why this isn't Marvel noise. But yeah, we just but I don't want to be one of those guys who just judges things sight unseen. Oh, that's going to suck. I want to at least
of course,
give it a shot. So I not saying I did my part, but I'm trying. I'm not trying to just outright poo-poo what they're doing. But some things I'm not an editor, and I don't write for them. So however they want to tell their stories, they're going to tell their stories. But sometimes I'll read something and I just, whether it feels like it's just dragging on or it's taking forever to get to the point. And obviously it's because they have units to move. They're trying to tell stories so that they can, turn around and then package them in a collection and sell them that way. So they tell their stories the way they want to tell them. But sometimes it would be nice if they just kind of maybe got to the point a little sooner.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong, my friend.
It's a rarity, but yeah.
All right, I'm going to give you the second best. Now, these next 2, again, I wanted to keep separate from the other horror-o-rama because these 2 are both excellent, like legit excellent, and everyone should read them. Unless you don't like horror, but if you like horror, these are 2 phenomenal. So my number 2 of the list is, I hinted at it with my intro. It is Dracula, Volume 2, written by your boo, Matt Wagner.
Yes.
With art by all of our boo, Mr. Kelley Jones.
Yes.
We talked at great lengths about Volume 1 of this. Loved every bit of that. I don't think Kelley Jones's art has looked as good as it had in that book in many, many years. It's felt inspired. I was not nervous, but I was hopeful, like cautiously optimistic that he would continue with the same vim and vigor in the subsequent volumes. And damned if he didn't. So the second volume came out this year, and I also thought it was timely to mention it because the current Kickstarter for the third and final volume is live. And rest assured, people, if you don't back it, you're good because it's like 50 times oversubscribed. And much like with the first 2 volumes, I'm quite sure that it will shortly there be then solicited by Dark Horse. So you don't have to have back the Kickstarter. But either way, this is more of obviously a continuation of what we loved in the first volume. Kelley's work in these volumes is so incredible. It's vivid. It's erotic. It's violent, and it's also psychedelic. I mean, he takes chances in the way that he composes pages in these Dracula stories, particularly when he's dealing with the occult and the satanic and the demonic components of the history. I just think it's inspired work, and you know how much I love vampire. You know how much I love Dracula. I probably talked about just about every vampire comic that's come out in the last 17 years on the show. I'm a pretty easy mark for it. It's a genre that I just generally tend to like. I will give it a short. I will give it a long leash. But honestly, I mean, I think that the what Wagner and Kelley are this is up there with the very best of the genre. And there's been a lot of fucking vampire comics, and I've liked a lot of them. But I think this is right near the top. In this volume, it's actually I believe the subtitle is Dracula Volume 2: The Brides. It is the story of recall the first volume was all about the origins, and one of the cool things about it was deep into the occult origins of vampirism and Vlad Tepes becoming Dracula as well. This now, of course, he is Dracula. He's at a time where his land in Carpathia, Transylvania, is being reshaped by the modernizing world. His influence is shrinking because it's becoming much more regionalized to the small little area of the forest that he controls, which is hurting him because he's a vampire now and has to eat. So he has conditioned himself, much like in Bram Stoker's novel, to feed infrequently, because if he ate daily, he would wipe out the population, right? So he's gaunt and not weak per se, but he looks weaker. He looks older, and he's lonely. So he ends up over this volume turning 3 different women, and we get their backstories. We learn who they were in life, and we see how they are once he turns them, and each one is very different. The first is like the family that's been serving him for decades, probably going on a century at this point. She is part of that family. She is the daughter of his current caretaker. She's pretty aggressive. She kind of like comes at him. She's like, listen, I'm not stupid. Like, we never see you in the daytime. Like you're not human. But she's not afraid of him. And because of her chutzpah, he gets turned on, and he turns her into a vampire. But she's like a peasant girl. She's a servant. So he gets bored of her. Then he meets another nearby like Vlad, like another baron, and they're looking to unite against the Ottomans, and dude has a daughter, and Dracula's like, how about you give me your hand in marriage, to people, and the guy's like, hell no, like, you and I are already unified against the Ottomans, like, I don't need to make a deal with you, and plus, like, my daughter's gonna marry like into the royalty to, like, level us up. So of course, what does Drac do? Well, he fucking turns her into a vampire anyway, and then her first kill is her dad, and it's like, and she's a erudite woman of means, right? And so she's got a different vibe, and then we eventually see him turn his third bride, who's basically a Christian woman, who's the antithesis. She views vampirism as Satan's work, and she's against it entirely. But he makes her, and in probably an ironic way, she becomes the most bloodthirsty and vicious of them all. And it's just really all their stories and his decision to turn them, and why, and how it's never, just like with a lot of relationships, it's not always what you thought, right? And it's like it's not all roses, and pretty much like then he feels this burden to provide for them, but in a time when there just aren't that many humans around, and they're now all at this point, like, everyone in the area is definitely afraid of him because they know that he's evil, and they're all trying to protect themselves against him, and by the end of the book, and again, this somewhat chronicles Stoker's book, so I don't think I'm spoiling things here. He's very decrepit because he essentially hasn't eaten in many years, because every time he comes across someone that he can feed on, he gives it to his brides out of compulsion to protect them and keep them alive, not alive, but keep them in existence. And finally, Lilith, which again this is where Wagner gets cool again, stretching into the occult. I should mention that Dracula speaks to a magic mirror throughout this. It's Satan's mirror, and he did in the first volume as well. So it's kind of like Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, but it's a satanic mirror. And at one point, Dracula's like, "What am I supposed to do? Like the townspeople are in revolt. most of them are gone. I don't have any, I don't have any resources. Like, I'm dying. What am I supposed to do? And the mirror, instead of answering him, Lilith shows up, and Kelley Jones draws this just gorgeous, like almost like Red Sonja looking, like scantily clad, buxom woman, and she's like, "Bruh, I'm the first of our kind," and he's like, "Wait, Satan told me I was the first of his kind." And she's like, "Yeah, well, he'll do that. He's a liar." She's like, "But I'm the first of our kind, and I'm here to like set you straight." And Drax basically like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do?" She's like, "Bro, like you're like evil incarnate. Like, why are you letting yourself shrivel away in this little old castle? Like, go about the world and be Dracula." And basically like sets him on the path to like to just put himself in a coffin and go across the ocean, the U.S., which again is a story we've seen and talked about many times over here. So I assume that's volume 3, is coming to the U.S. and doing his thing. So absolute joy, every bit of it. The visuals, Wagner's story. It's I just adore that he's playing true to. I mean, true in quotes. I mean, it's all fiction, but playing true to the Stoker source material, but also layering in these other occult and folkloric aspects that weren't in Stoker's work to really flesh it out even more and make it delic and trippy. I just think it's a perfect marriage of two masterful creators, just Wonder Twins activating. And by all means, people, if you have any passing interest in vampire comics and you haven't read either of these first 2 volumes, run, don't walk to cheap graphic novels and order them through Dark Horse. They're fucking great, and we should get volume 3 early next year. So I can't wait. Absolute masterpiece.
As someone who enjoyed it at the time, Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola, and I've seen plenty of Dracula movies over the years, whether or at least movies featuring Dracula, like Van Helsing. I am a big fan of the Underworld franchise. I do like Vlad. I do like Dracula, but I've never been really super into too many comic book stories with the character. However, when you do have creators like Matt Wagner, and which I'm glad he's writing it. While I absolutely adore Matt's artwork, to the surprise of no one, and I know he'd probably have fun illustrating this story. I can't. There are very few illustrators that I would want to see draw this story than Kelley Jones. So I really do think that this is a phenomenal creative team for this project. So even this is one of those situations where even if I wasn't so in love with the subject matter, the creators would pretty much be my reason to check it out, regardless. So
for sure, yeah.
All the pages I've seen, all the previews, everything that I've looked at regarding this looks amazing. Whether Matt's adapting someone else's work or telling his own, he knows how to tell a story. So I mean, it's something that I'm kind of surprised it's taken this long to actually do it. It's the more it goes on, it reads like it's a no-brainer. Like why didn't these two get together and do this before now? But it's the fact is it's happening and it's here and is the third book the last book?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so it is a trilogy. Okay, great. Yeah. So once we get it all, then yeah, I'll definitely be diving in. Yeah, it's I love hearing about it. So I'm glad it exists.
Yeah, and again, it's not like I know I gave out plot points, but there's not really spoilers unless you're completely unfamiliar with the concept of Dracula. In which case, I can't imagine you want to plunk down $40 for a graphic novel about Dracula. So,
yeah.
So I mean, it's all in the execution, right? It's like, to me, it's the execution of the idea versus the idea itself. So yeah, really great stuff.
Yeah. And I think I have my In Your Travels. So I don't know if you have anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we might have missed our mark here.
Which is why I was hoping I'd rather have him on
I know.
early, and
Well,
then we could do the recap. But no. Listen, hey,
we'll learn.
whatever he
We'll
wants
learn.
to do,
We'll
I want
learn.
him comfortable.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
fine.
So before we do In Your Travels, let me do my last of this horror, because it's the best, and so I don't want to give it short shrift. Just edging out Dracula, which was hard to do because again I thought that was exceptional. Is another volume. This is also a 3-volume, and this was the final volume, and that is Night Eaters. The Night Eaters, I should say. The Night Eaters, Volume 3. This is the other, quote-unquote, other project by low-key one of the more prolific creative teams of their era now. Marjorie Liu, writer, Sana Takeda, art. Of course, they are also the majestic Eisner-winning team behind Monstrous, which they're still doing also, by the way. But yeah, these are the 3, this is the final of 3 books that they put out through Abrams. These are OGNs. These were never in comic form. We've talked about the prior 2 volumes, or I've talked about the prior 2 volumes at great length. The 3rd volume came out pretty early this year, actually. And I made the point of holding off to reading it until spooky season. And, I'm glad I did. It's all I can. I mean, listen, it's an absolute masterpiece. Takeda's art is just baffling. I mean, she's a painter, and it's these soft watercolors with these incredible, black line work. It's just exceptional stuff, which is why she's won multiple Eisners. Her and Marjorie have incredible chemistry together. They have that second hand that is reserved for the all-time great tandems, right? Brubaker Phillips, et cetera, et cetera. And in this, just I assume people remember a bit about the first 2 volumes, but the premise is essentially that Millie and Billy are the Ting twins. They're fraternal twins, and they are. The story begins. The volume 1 starts during the pandemic. They have a thriving, like delivery restaurant business that they started. They're young. They're like college age, a little older. It's thriving. They have immigrant parents who are like kind of like classic hard-nosed immigrant parents. Like they're like life hasn't been easy for them, right? And so they often get frustrated with their kids, that their kids think life is too easy. They take things for granted. It's that kind of dynamic, right? But we come to find out in the first volume, and then subsequently, that the kids think they're just this normal immigrant family trying to make it in LA. But no. Their parents are actually very powerful demons who have chosen to live their life in human form and not abide by accessing their powers or being involved with the otherworldly like stuff that happens in that side of the plane of existence. And the kids are also demons, and so that manifests in the first volume when they're all working to clean out a house of a neighbor's who's passed away, and they end up encountering apparitions, and that's all in volume 2's kind of them realizing their powers and awakening them and fighting this evil warlock. And this 3rd volume picks up right where that left off. We're basically in the wreckage of Millie and Billy making their last stand to defend their family against this warlock. Because they really aren't very good at using their powers, because they just learned they had them. They overstep, and they actually tear a hole in between our reality and another. Essentially, they rip a hole into reality, and they unleash like effectively an apocalyptic wave of evil into the world, and starting in LA. And that's kind of the book picks off right from there and just starts running. And of course, they want to try and undo it. by using their powers more, and their parents Keon and Ippo are like, no, you like what's done is done. You can't, some things can't be reversed. It's like, you see sometimes with the occult, like when people try and like resurrect the dead, and it's like, no, some things you just can't do. Sometimes magic is not. It's kind of like that. Like they're like, no, what's done is done. Like now we just got to deal with aftermath, and it's pretty much what the entire last arc is about. Is them dealing with this reality they've created, both in terms of coming to terms with how much pain they're causing the rest of the people they love in their world, as well as trying to figure out how they can further manifest their powers to either fight in this world for those that they care for, and or stop the spread or offset the spread. And there's because of their actions, their parents, who are very powerful demons, are pulled back into kind of the soap operatic hierarchy of this demon like mafia / royalty system, and it's kind of like the John Wick, where it's like you're back, like they're back now, and so they're involved, and it's just this is the most action packed of the 3 volumes as its climax. It's just intense. It's intense, and it just touches on so many different things. Right, you've got the family dynamic of the guilt of duty to one's family. You've got the idea of making mistakes when you're young, and how when we were young and other generations were young, you could make a mistake and kind of get by with it, right? Like if you were lucky, like as long as you didn't do anything too egregious. But in today's world, mistakes are amplified because everything's on camera, everything's documented. So if you make mistakes now as a kid, like, you probably can't escape from them in the way that you could have in the past. And there's that over thing. There's the straight up like horror nature of this. It's these amazingly rendered demonic presences and beasts and creatures and black magic that Takeda does so well. And then of course there's a climax and an end game, and Millie and Billy taking their kind of rightful place in this new world and coming to terms with, which I would liken a bit to kind of when Ilyana accepts her place as the Dark Child, right? It doesn't mean that she's doomed, but it means that she accepts that she's not human, and she's got to straddle both existences. And I think that's what this is ultimately about. Is it's an allegory of immigrants having to become something new, aka American, but then at the same time trying not to lose sight of or being true to their culture and their roots and their history, and it's all of that wrapped into a badass apocalyptic hellscape. So it's just masterful, man. Like the art alone is just ridiculous. I don't know how long it takes Takeda to do these. I feel like she's put them out fairly frequently, especially when you factor in they're also doing Monstrous. It's jaw-dropping stuff. Like, she's on another level in terms of her ability to render. And I hope that Marjorie and Sana can make a time to come, because the two that they've made together are just both legitimate masterpieces. So yeah, if I mean, this is a big ask if you haven't read it yet. I mean, you're talking about committing close to like 800 maybe 850 pages of content. These are big graphic novels, 250 plus pages, I think, for each of them. So I would recommend them, but you're going to have to really sit down and roll up your sleeves here, because this is equivalent of probably like a 40 issue comic series that I'm asking you to read. But I think it's worth every bit of your time. It's worth it. So please do check out The Night Eaters if you haven't already.
Her art is just is unbelievable.
Oh, it's dumb. It's it's ridiculous. It's dumb.
I know we were at a Jersey mall once, killing time, and I think and we walked through a bookstore, and they had one of the early big Monstrous collections. So Renee was flipping through it, and she liked the art. I don't know if the story would be her thing with Monstrous, but she was really digging the art. So it's something I might ask her to try. But yeah, I now that this third book in the trilogy is out, maybe I'll give this a shot, because it does sound great. And yeah, I mean, it's gonna look amazing. So it's kind of
oh yeah.
You're right.
I was actually going to say I presume they're going to put an omnibus out, but probably not true because it's Abrams, a traditional book publisher, and these are beautiful hardcovers. Them slipcase, not slipcase, but dust jacketed hardcovers. So they're probably not going to do a Now that I think about it, like an omnibus, but they'll they may do like a slipcase with all three. I don't know. That's possible. I think they've sold very well, and they're also critically acclaimed. So it's possible there'll be some kind of archival collection, but we haven't really, seen it yet.
And when did the first 2 books come out? Is this an annual thing or
no? So I'm trying to think here. Again, it was set in the pandemic, so it had to have already been during the pandemic. Let me see here. Hold on. Let's see if I can figure out when the first one came out. Hold on. Let's see. First one came out
2022.
October 11th, 2022. Then so it's almost it. And then the second one was 2023, and then this one was 2025. So okay. You got 3 volumes over the course of 2.5 years. So pretty prolific, man. And on top of that, they were still doing Monster.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it doesn't. And I mean, yeah, the I see no shortcuts in the artwork. It's insane. It's goddamn.
No shortcuts. No.
All right. So thank you again, as always, for listening to this. cheapgraphicnovels.com is our sponsor. You can hit them up for anything you've heard about tonight. And as always, your first order, once that's placed, go ahead and send them an email. Let them know 11 O'Clock Comics sent you. Your next order, the one you're really going to want to stack up on, that will ship for free. Take advantage of the pre-orders, because when you do the pre-order, at least the items that I've been lucky enough to pre-order, the shipping is I don't want to say it's discounted, but it seems to be less than what it is when the books are in stock and ship. I received I came home from Baltimore Comic-Con Sunday evening, and the second volume of the Triangle Era was waiting for me, and then 2 days later, I received my my shipment of Hate Volume 1 and the first 2 volumes of Search and Destroy and a few other goodies. The issue of the first hardcover collection of Absolute Wonder Woman I can give to my neighbor's son, and so now I have the first book from Crisis on Infinite Earths, the first of 4 collections that the DC Finest format will be giving us, and I'm hoping. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know if it's the case, but I'm hoping that the layout, the format is that it reads in chronological order of the way the stories are supposed to, as the way the stories play out, and not necessarily as they were released publication wise. So, but I'm excited to read. I'm excited to revisit the story and to read maybe a crossover that I may have missed here or there. But definitely check out our sponsors. You can also find us on Instagram, on Blue Sky. We have the Facebook group, 11 O'Clock Comics, patreon.com/11 O'Clock Comics. Become a patron, because they not only heard a short little rundown of our convention fun times over the weekend on the drive home Sunday evening, but those on the Slack got to see Jason's art haul. They got to see the few things that I came home with. So membership has privileges, as they say. So that's out of the way. In your travels, I have to I have to shake my fist at Rick Remender. I do not I'm not big on war stories. I don't. I saw Platoon in the theater when that was out, but other than that, I'm not. I know, Saving Private Ryan gets a lot of love, and it should, but it's not necessarily a movie that I need to watch more than once. I haven't seen more than maybe 15 minutes of Band of Brothers. And that's something maybe I'll get around to checking out, but I'm not in a rush for that. But yeah, I don't necessarily care for anything related to the war, especially World War II. But and maybe that's just me repressing things, because whenever it was on any station, no matter how many times my father had seen an episode, MASH was constantly on at home. But I am actually invested in Escape, and part of that is yeah, Daniel Acuña's artwork is amazing, but Rick has me stressing over Milton and him trying to, because in the first issue we talked about it. It was a great setup, and I didn't realize at the time that we were kind of just only maybe focusing on one individual following this air raid attempt. But Milton's on a mission, and we're hoping he sees it through. But holy shit, what he has to get through, what he has to do to hopefully make it so that he can accomplish this mission. It's I'm guessing it's a suicide run. There's no way that it's, even though the book's called Escape, I don't know if that's actually going to happen. And the only escape that's happening is that he's barely one step ahead of those who are after him. So I don't know really where the escape part is coming in with the title, but it's just, I am, between the words and the pictures, I'm stressing, and it takes a lot for a comic book story to get me worked up like this. It doesn't happen often, and the fact that it's a war story to boot is I'd say I have no words, but then that's the point of a podcast. But there's something about this book. There is I don't know. I feel like I feel like it's a miniseries, because there's no way that this can continue really. But I don't, and maybe it is, and I don't know. But I don't, and it's 3 issues in, and I know I know I've said after the first issue of Absolute Wonder Woman that it was mine on the 11 O'Clockers. But and this may be this, the way I'm feeling about it, it may very well be on my O'Clockers. But I cannot believe that I am this interested in seeing what happens in a comic book about war, and the fact that and what absolutely adds to it, what I know why, and kudos to Rick, because we do get some backstory on Milton and what he was doing before the war, and why, and his attitude towards it. I know this dude. I absolutely know people in my life who think and feel the way he does, and how he was all about just soaring the skies, and he doesn't want to be tied down, and then he falls in love and has to make a decision, and his, obviously not to this extent, but I understand the frustration when you have to let go of your dreams, and then you have that pull, for lack of a better term, of your family. Your wife is expecting, and you're not doing what you feel you were meant to do, and times are hard, and hell, I've unfortunately lived through that, and not as harsh as others have, but I'm sympathetic to the character, and so that absolutely plays a part in it. So yeah, I can't wait for the 4th issue. I'll read it as soon as we get those image previews. But shit, I'm standing 10 toes down, and I'm with my whole chest telling you, in your travels, if you haven't started it, find the first 3 issues of Escape from Image Comics by Rick Remender, Daniel Acuña, under the Giant Generator imprint. I'm saying this is someone who, again, doesn't give a crap about war stories. So, as far as a story that you can just get so wrapped up in and feel something while the character's going through it, that's enough for me. So yeah, in your travels, Escape from Image Comics.
Very nice. Loving it as well, and it's an ongoing for the record.
Holy shit! So. How? Okay.
But again, like, but like,
it doesn't have to just be Milton. I know.
Ongoing in as much as, as long as the sales dictate. But yes,
yeah,
that's the plan. Cool. So in your travels, I'm gonna go away from the horror for the in your travel, because it's a book that relates back to a gentleman that I chatted with at Baltimore Comic-Con, and
yes,
that is Tanga versus the Kaiju of Cammera. I backed this Kickstarter early last year. It arrived a few days before Baltimore. It is an absolutely gorgeously, kudos to Rocket Ship who handled the fulfillment for Kevin, but it is I got the hardcover slipcase version. There's also a trade version, but it's the hardcover slipcase is super thick, and it's got this beautiful die cut T for Tanga, and then you can see her. What I didn't realize when I backed it is that it's actually this is pretty fascinating to me. So this is a creator-owned collection of work that was all published in the DCU. So at some point, Kevin was tasked or given the opportunity to create a new character and tell stories about her. He created Tanga. He wrote 12 10-page chapters about her, and they appeared in 2 different series. The first 6 of the chapters appeared in Weird Worlds, and then the last 6 appeared in My Greatest Adventure. But as Kevin tells it in his Kickstarter last year, this is all around the New 52. And so, in essence, Tanga as a character and a concept basically got subsumed by all the other bigger stuff going on, and she was kind of left to die in the pile of characters that came and went, and that broke his heart because he loved the character. And for reasons I still don't quite know, he convinced them to hand over her rights to him, which seems very unusual, right? For the big two to just be like, you can have this character and all of its rights, right? Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, that's what happened. So they gave him the rights to Tanga, including all of the appearances he wrote and drew for her of her in the DC universe. So that's what this collection is. This is the collection of those 12 chapters. So it's 120 pages. So roughly like a 5 or 6 issue limited series. But it's an absolute treasure. First of all, I don't think I need to explain to anybody how great Maguire is at drawing comics. And Tanga is he describes her as Silver Surfer with some Harley Quinn mixed in. I took it more to be she's more like Starfire to me, which is maybe why DC was like, we're good. Visually, she is a voluptuous purple alien. She's got purple skin, purple hair. Looks somewhat like Blink to me, which I'm down for. She is godlike. She's got. That's why I say it's kind of like Starfire. She's a super powerful alien. She can fly through space. She's basically invulnerable. And she's got this almost like Inspector Clouseau, like whoopsie daisy kind of attitude about life. Like she's basically flying through space, looking for creature comforts by her own definition. Just trying to good vibes. Basically, she's looking for good vibes, and she just stumbles upon action and adventure and trouble. But because she's essentially godlike, it's never a problem. She just deals with it which is I can see why he compares her to Harley. Harley's like the human version of this. It kind of just like stumbles into trouble and is all smiles throughout it. That's what Tanga is. She's just looking for good vibes, going from planet to planet, and she ends up on this planet Cammera, and they have a kaiju problem, and so she gets involved, help out the townspeople, help out the global citizens of Cammera, and is looking to have some fun in the process. And it's classic. It's the same kind of little bit funny, little bit action vibes that we got from Maguire back in the Bwahaha when he was involved with that. And it's just great stuff, man. It's great stuff. I mean, he draws beautiful women. He draws amazing kaiju. And I thought this was terrific. And you can have no fear, even though it is a creator-owned Kickstarter. It is widely available. So you can go to our buddy Max's cheapgraphicnovels.com, and you can get Dracula books 1 and 2 for $15 a piece, 50% off. You can get Night Eaters, all 3 volumes, for $28 a piece, and these are, remember, big hardcovers. And you can get Tanga, and if you're a trade paperback kind of guy or gal, you can get the trade for $14.24. Or if you're like me and you like things hard, including your covers, then you can get it for $18.74. You can pick soft or hard, just like taco shells. But so check out Tanga in your travels. Tanga versus the Kaiju of Cammera. And talking to Kevin about it, he was really excited about how it turned out. Really excited to own the character, and I think he's got more in store for us about her. So,
who did he color it?
I believe so. It's all by him. I have to double check. I don't recall seeing another credit.
Yeah, even going through the Kickstarter, I don't see anything other than
I think it's all him.
Mentioned other than him.
Yep,
that's great.
He did the whole shebang. Yep.
All right, I guess I have another cheap graphic novels order to place.
He's very good at color theory because I know all the commissions are color. So yeah,
because I know that one of the tiers was a colored commission from him. So yeah,
that is I'm in that tier. Yes,
of course you are. Yeah, and it was reminiscent of McCone, because I think McCone's come a massively long way with the way he.
McCone is an absolute master of the color.
It's insane. Oh man, that's awesome. All around good time. Thanks for listening to this, everybody. We appreciate you. We love you all. We will be back next week before Halloween. Other than that, just make sure you kiss your loved ones, and we will talk to you very, very soon. Have a great night.
Indeed. Love y'all.
That's it for that one.